Welcome to another edition of the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I'm back at Fan Expo 2017, chatting with Toronto-based, Halifax native, Canadian comic book creator Sean Jordan, aka Word Burglar. Sean and I talk about his humorous comic book, The Last Paper Route, inspired by his teenage career as a Chronicle Herald newspaper carrier. Although our chat was brief, it was entertaining to say the least. But before we go further, I encourage you to like this podcast on iTunes and definitely check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website. Like us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and discover a lot more information about Canadian comic book creators and supporters. And now, here's my chat with Sean Jordan.
I do a great comic called The Last Paper Route, which, in my humble opinion, is the greatest comic book about a paper route ever. It's set in the 90s, the last era where newspapers were really vital to people before the advent of the internet and texting, and people got all their news from their computer in their pants. So the newspaper was a thing that was really important, and it was also the only source of income for young kids such as myself back in the day, and then I need to use that money to buy my own comics. Anyways, it's called The Last Paper Route. It's illustrated by Dave Howlett, co-created by myself, Dave, and Alex Kennedy. It's from Decent Comics. You can find it on Comixology or at your local comic book store. We're all Canadian, and honestly, it is the greatest comic about a paper route ever.
What influenced you to make this type of product?
Well, I was a paper boy as a kid in the 90s, and I guess it really had a huge effect on me and my love of comic books. And like I say, I would spend my money I'd earned from my paper route on comic books, and the two just really became this organic fit. And then over the years, the stories have just been bubbling in my mind based on true adventures and characters that I met in real life, and then it really influenced the story of the comic book, which we've taken to the next level, and the stakes are heightened, and the adventures are crazier, and the mysteries are deeper, and it's just really a pure love of comics and the amazing times I had delivering on my paper route as a kid really brought to life in this comic. So it's I don't know, there's a lot of love and fun there.
That's cool. How easy or hard was it to make a book here in Canada?
Well, I've lived in Canada my whole life, so I just had to make a comic. It was pretty easy.
Did you go to a publisher directly, or did you do it yourself? Or?
No, we are 100% self-published. So honestly, we're run by the fuel of our friends and our love for comics, and we're just doing it and putting it out here, self-publishing. We print the comic out of Etobicoke and then distribute it from my apartment.
So what's next for Decent Comics? Can you talk a little about the future?
Well, we're working on the next few issues of The Last Paper Route, so there will be issue 4 will be dropping hopefully early 2018, and then issue 5 by next summer. We have another series called Snake Oars Pizza about an evil snake man who failed to rule the globe in the 80s, and now he has to rely on his fallback career, which is working at a pizza place. And that's filled with all kinds of fun nostalgia for 80s cartoons. And then we have another series called Grandpa Funny Book's Contagious Cavalcade of Special Characters. And Grandpa Funny Book is basically everyone's favorite creator of all your favorite special characters, like Momnipotent, the omnipotent mom, and the gangster rapper, who wraps up gangsters in his wrapping paper.
Sounds like fun. Yeah. So is this your first time being at this show, Fan Expo, or you've been here before?
No, I've been at Fan Expo probably as a publisher. This is probably my 4th or 5th year. So, and then just as a fan, I've probably been here over 10 years. Yeah. So I'm in it. I'm in it for the long haul.
That's cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks to Sean for talking with me. It was a spontaneous interview that was definitely memorable. You can discover more about Sean at his site, wordburglar.com. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics Podcast. I invite you to subscribe, like, and comment on the podcast. And please send your feedback to truenorthcountrycomics@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now.